Welcome to the talk show Promising Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement. And this is Sinha M.A. Saeed anchoring this very talk show. Viewers, today we have invited two guests. One is Barrister Asaduzzaman Fuad, Joint Member Secretary of AB Party and one of the leading vocal points in the talk show world. How are you, Barrister Fuad?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. Other being Mostafa Sazzad. Basically, he is a leading chartered accountant, at the same time lawyer and a political analyst. How are you, Mr. Sazzad?
Thank you, sir. I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Fine. Yeah. Well, Barrister Fuad, you are a political leader. You know very well the present government passed 60 days of its tenure. What is your understanding about the achievement of this government?
So far, my observation is quite mixed, and I am quite positive about the achievements of the last 60 days, if I may say so. That the foremost achievement of this government is following the democratic transition. So far, they haven't done anything to undermine the Monsoon Revolution, the aspiration of the people, the student community at large. The fall of the regime had left so much onus in different sectors and institutions. Yet what we have seen, a lot of progress had started. Example-wise, remittance flow, you can see that how it has been sharply rising on a day-to-day or a monthly basis for last 2-3 months or so. In terms of what Professor Yunus has achieved at the United Nations General Assembly, the way the world leaders had received him, the way the leaders of different corners came to congratulate him, and how image of Bangladesh has been taken, it is absolutely for a Bangladeshi to be proud of. And we have seen the confidence in the financial institutions, global financial institutions, credit rating agencies, World Bank, IMF. Everybody seems to be quite optimistic into getting engaged with Bangladesh further. What we have seen, a lot of investments and the pledges of loans and aids are flowing through. On a domestic front, what we have seen, law enforcement situation is relatively much better than any time of the past regime. Even the best of the day of the Awami League is much worse than what we have seen now. People at large are sleeping in peace. There is no knocking on the door at the middle of the night by the law enforcement agency, by the DGFI or NSI. So largely, I would say that the achievements are good, but of course there is a lot of expectations as well. We need to remember that things haven't been achieved over the last 16 years, deprived of. That sense of deprivation is so huge. Suddenly, since the 5th of August, that ocean of deprivation has turned into the ocean of expectations. And that expectation sometimes might get frustrated. Oh, come on, the commodity prices, the hikes in the markets were bad during the Hasina regime. Why still bad? Why it is getting worse? Why there is an uncertainty in the eggs market or in the poultry or in the daily, for a middle class families going to the market on a daily morning. That's quite challenging, no doubt about it. Even when we met the chief advisor last Saturday, we raised the issue with it, that needs to be addressed rapidly. So we asked the chief advisors to form a justice-led civil investigation committee to investigate all those matters, and as soon as possible, which he accepted positively, and we hope them that the committees are formed. So on both sides, looking at the parameters, that there is a largely optimistic. I am seeing the achievements made, undertaken. On the economic front, we have seen the economic advisor had taken brilliant measures to investigate the corruptions. Bangladesh Bank is proactive, looking after the banks and the mega loots that took place and the money laundered billions of dollars. Those have been investigated. So yes, I am quite hopeful what they have achieved, but also looking forward to things that haven't been done but should have been done.
Thank you very much. Dr. Mostafa Sazzad Hassan, basically you are a chartered accountant. you have a PhD degree in such a topics which is known as forensic accounting, perhaps first of its kinds in Bangladesh. Having all these things in the same box, how do you view 60 days of the interim government led by Nobel laureate Dr. Mohammad Yunus?
Thank you, Dr. Sinha. Actually, 60 days is a significant time for interim government or such kind of government reform in emergency basis. But as Fuad said, I have also some mixed observation of 60 days of government. First of all, there are some good initiative, and we should appreciate the significant and very lighted leadership of Dr. Yunus, and our expression also accelerated day by day after forming this government. But we are concerned about some major issues, and first of these is inflation, because it has directly hit people's day-to-day life and people's living standard. So it is the first issue. In this case, I think there should be take some prompt initiative as soon as possible, because people are suffering very badly. And as well as share market, you know that indexing is declining every day, and there are some chaos in stock exchange and other government officials by investors. And in addition, there are some chaos also in administration also. Every day, new administration is formed in different government agencies and authorities, and the next day is changing. This kind of changing and this kind of instability makes some fear to our people, and this is very harmful for establishing a good governance over the country. So I think there's some good initiative by forming a good number of reform commission, but actually we should think first. Should we define the government, whether it is a is this a interim administration government or interim government? And what it says actually constitutional crisis and other things should be resolved first. And in addition, we should concentrate on some policies and regulation before taking initiative for such kind of reform in different agencies and body of the government. I think in this case there are some shortfall I have observed in last 60 days.
Thank you very much. Barrister Fuad, and do you think that the Yunus government is in a position to cope with the situation very successfully from the point of view of support from the political parties? Do you find any gap between the government and the political parties?
So far, my observation is all the political parties are largely supportive of the Yunus government. One is, the reason is, no one has any better alternative, because from the perspective of the regime that has been forced out of power, a Delhi-backed regime, countering an Indian hegemony in Bangladesh, we have no other personality than Professor Yunus in any other or manner possible. So I do not reckon that any political party would dare or even be foolish enough to go or think otherwise. But certainly there are political parties who feel that their mandate should be limited to election only. So that should be expedited, and whatever the necessary things to be done quickly, and then transit from your chair. But of course, largely from my perspective, there are other political parties who feel that their mandate is not limited to election, because it is not typical caretaker government under the constitution. It is interim administration taken over with the will of the people following the monsoon revolution in July and August. So the mandate goes beyond a credible election. The mandate is kind of reforms, the widely used word these days. The reforming the state institutions, reforming constitutions, reforming appointment systems in different offices, reforming election commissions, and so forth. So that has been undertaken. So I think there is a difference of opinion that how political parties with, but largely I feel political parties are agreeable and willing to work with the administration, and they're doing so. And even the meetings held last Saturday with the political parties, I found it was quite warm meetings. There has been a very frank conversation between the parties and the caretaker administration. All the parties have been spoken frankly. The loopholes, the voids, they think, the aspiration of the people, things to be done, there are missing elements into the actions. Even from our side, we welcomed the reforms committees, but also we are saying that most of the general people doesn't have any stake with the reforms. They are bothered about the price hikes. They are bothered every day what's happening in the marketplace. They are bothered about the inflation. They are bothered about the lack of employment for the graduates, the high level of unemployment within the graduates and the postgraduate youths. People are bothered about the traffic jams everywhere. There's a lack of transports. People are bothered about security kind of things. So these are the issues that requires to deliver now and not to be delayed, because these are the issues that most of the people are affected, whether some people are living in the hills or in the plains, whether somebody is religious or not religious, atheist or a believer, Muslims or Hindu, whatever. These are the issues affecting everybody, every citizen in this country, rich or the poor, old or young, whatever it is. So these are the issues that I think they are struggling to manage, and that needs to be contextualized as well, because the institutions left over by the last regime doesn't exist anymore. No institution is functioning. No, nothing in the country. Whether you look at the civil service, a lot of chaos going on within the administration. A lot of appointments of the advisors are dysfunctional. They're simply incompetent to run the administration. We have seen deliberate attempt within the administration to undermine the decisions made by the caretaker government. So police is also in chaos, because almost 60% has been appointed during the last 15 or 16 years, and they are from particular districts or loyal to particular political belief system. So these are the challenges, that the wholesale issues that this administration have been forced to take into consideration. So it is not the situation of 1991 or 96 or 2001. It is an extraordinary circumstances where challenges are uphill without any precedents.
Thank you very much, Barrister Fuad. You spoke very well. Viewers, this is a time to go for a short break. Please keep staying with us. Thank you. Viewers, we are back to the talk show Promising Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement, and we are having talks with two brilliant speakers. One is Barrister Asaduzzaman Fuad, other being Dr. Mostafa Sazzad Hassan. Dr. Sazzad Hassan, we know very well that Durga Puja, one of the biggest festivals in the Hindu community of this part of India, is going to take place tomorrow, I mean Sunday. And so far that has been taken place in Bangladesh is wonderful one. But other side of the coin is that there is a big rumor and misinformation, malinformation, disinformation in the media of the West Bengal and India. They are trying to portray a very different kind of picture, which is not the reflection of the truth, what is happening in Bangladesh. What is your focus on the issue?
Thank you, Dr. Sinha. Before starting my discussion on Durga Puja and such kind of issue, I would like to say, in my personal belief, that there is no minority in Bangladesh. As per constitution, we all are same. Actually, minority is people who would like to differentiate among the people and among the group, among the religion in the Bangladesh. So I would like to say our Hindu people in Bangladesh, they will enjoy the holy Durga Puja, and actually the formalities and festive also has been started. So, as I have discussed in my earlier discussion, there are some issues that makes people some kind of fearness in their mind. You know that some renowned and some dangerous terrorists get bail during their session of last 60 days of government. It is very alarming for our society, because bad people is always bad, irrespective of any party, any system, any government, and everywhere. So, this event make us some kind of fear whether any mishappen will be happened or not. But government take enough initiative for balancing that law and order situation during Durga Puja. And also, you know, political parties also take a very good part with this Durga Puja, and they are enjoying Durga Puja. They support Hindu people to make them Durga Puja in very festive manner. So I think everything is in control, but a very important thing is there is no police, and actually most of the thanas in country is not in good function. So this is a very alarming situation now. I think government will manage it by other defense authority like Army, Navy, and Air Force. But you know, there's some function actually specified for police, and police know how to handle such kind of bad mishappening is anything taken place in this festival area. So this is the concern of Hindu people, as I have observed in after talking with some leader of Hindu people.
Thank you very much. Barrister Fuad, Durga Puja is already on, and tomorrow there will be immersion. 10 days of festival. Over the period of time, especially during this time, the BJP, the ruling party in India, beating the drum otherwise, raising the voice even to the US. The people, Hindu people in Bangladesh is being neglected, tortured and cornered, and they are not safe and sound in Bangladesh. But we know very well the Hindu community in Bangladesh, the most personal person in the world, were having the most religious liberty in Bangladesh, and we are proud of such environment. How do you view these things?
Well, I think there is the one perspective is like the rights and abuse both experienced by the members of the minority communities here, Hindus and the other minorities. And the other one is the politics of minority. It's two different things. Now, certainly, recognizing the socio-economic reality of Bangladesh, it's not Switzerland, it's not Europe. We have our own limitations, and own limitation of the institutions, own limitation of law enforcement agencies, rule of law, judiciary, and so forth. So, because our institutions are weak, it cannot deliver services properly for the citizens. And it matters both and everybody, both Muslims, Hindus, and everybody. We lack public service here. So it is not exclusive that only because of Hindu they are not getting service or protections. It is because of the lack of the institutions of the state, we lack protections for every citizens. It happens everywhere. Other is the minority politics. Now, since the fall of the last regime, the Hasina administration has been heavily backed by the Indian government for last 16 years without any mandate whatsoever. Now, the fall of the regime has been a disaster for India's foreign policy for last 77 years, one of the worst foreign policy disaster. Now, to cover that disaster, what the Indian administration and the Indian intelligentsia and the medias are doing, they created a world of manufactured fear and propaganda. Now, BBC Bangla had done a brilliant debunk of those propagandas, and they have categorically exposed the incidents, like saying the destruction happened to the cricket captain, former cricket captain Mostafa's house, portraying as the Liton Dash's house, the Hindu cricketer's house. BBC Bangla investigated and found nothing happened to the houses of Liton Dash. It is true just after the collapse of the regime, 5th of August, there has been a lot of violence across the country and vandalism, and it affected the shops and houses and the trades of the Hindu people. But the findings was, it is not because they are Hindu, their shops and houses were attacked. Rather, it was the reason that they have been part of the last ruling regime, and they have been part of the lot of crimes committed to the opposition activists and the local areas, ransom, and making the life hell of it, filing false cases, forcing the people get out of their homes and villages. Those are the reason why they have been attacked, not because he or she was a Hindu. So the politics is, until you are beaten up, you are an Awami Ligar. Once you are beaten up, you are a Hindu. So that's the politics has been exposed to the world by BBC Bangla and the other news media. Now the reality is, India must stop playing that minority politics here. People here do not consider, as Dr. Sazzad Hussain correctly pointed out, that we consider everybody a citizen, not as a member of the minority. If that was the case, the former so-called foreign minister had said we had 29% representation in the civil service, despite being the population of 8% or 9%. Look at India, what happens. If India is so bothered about minority, why don't you look after your own minorities? Why cannot you look after your own backyards? What's wrong with you guys come all the way to see how the Hindus are living here? You have your own casteist problem. Your women cannot go to the Hindu temples. They are being burned alive because touching the holy books. These are the societies you are living in still. If your Hindu woman doesn't have the right of inheritance, succession, and other forms of abuses, they are suffering. So we feel there is a no sensitivity in terms of these people celebrating the most important festival of the year for the Bengali Hindus. There are thousands of worshipping temporary temples being built around the country, and we can see the serious law enforcement agency presence. Security forces are there, even the members of the general people are there, political parties, activists, even the ulama, the Hafazat leaders, the Islamic organizations, everybody was there guarding their temples and the shops and the houses for weeks and after weeks. So this is the kind of a communal harmony that we practice, exactly opposite what the Indians do, what the Indian administration do. So please do not bother, do not get into our own business. We are quite good with it. And stop doing the propaganda. It is absolutely a manufactured fear. Our citizens are safe here, and we are able to look after them. Even see that to ensure they enjoy their holiday, another day of public holiday been added, so they can enjoy the holiday. So that's the kind of the state engagement in providing the protection. Even yesterday, you have seen the press secretary of the chief advisor, special aide to the chief advisor, went to the temples, met their concerns, met the leadership, and assured them that the need for them. So these, I feel, very little percentage is truth. The rest is fictions. We need to get out of the fiction. And that is also the job of the caretaker administration, how to counter it.
Thank you very much. I'll come to you again. Dr. Sazzad.
Yeah. Actually, we have some dependency to India as well as for getting political benefit. Every government formed after the liberation, everybody take the benefit of good relations with India. We recognize the contribution of India in our liberation war, as well as after liberation, India is one of the most important business partner of Bangladesh. Our government sector, all kinds of backward chain facilities comes from India, as well as support in our power and the fuel sector also. So, but later on, if you see the balance of payment with India, we are in very deficit point, because every government, not in Awami League, Awami League, VNP, and every government, in Jatiya Party also, in their resume, they take the benefit with good relation of India, always issued blank check to India. So we should careful about whether we should maintain a good balance of payment with our neighbor countries, as well as we have to keep a good relation with neighbor countries. It is okay for us, but we should careful about issuing any kind of blank check to India that make them so courage to interfere our internal issues, our Hindu issues, as well as our political structure and other things. So in these circumstances, I would like to request our upcoming government, whether from any party, this government should careful about maintaining good relation with our neighbor countries, as well as protection of our economy, protection of our country's betterment, and take necessary precaution about unnecessary interference of our neighbor country. So I think this change and this change in attitude already we have seen from our interim government already take some actions and take some initiative to keep the good relation, as well as to protect our citizen from such kind of external interfere of neighbor countries.
Thank you very much. Dr. Sazzad, you spoke very well about the trade and commerce industries between India and Bangladesh. And we will come to you again very soon. Viewers, this is a time for a short break, and we will meet you very soon. Thank you very much. Viewers, we are back to the talk show Promising Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement, and this is Sinha M. Said encoding this very talk show. We are having talks with Barrister Asaduzzaman Fuad and Dr. Mostafa Sazzad, and both of them are very smart enough to discuss on the issues, and they know how to touch the issues. Well, Barrister Asaduzzaman Fuad, recently we have seen that BNP and Jamaat Islam and other political parties trying their level best to present their reforms initiatives to the nation, and what they want, what they can do. And especially the recent announcement of Jamaat Islam about the reforms on the basis of 10 points program, and you have gone through this. And do you think this type of focus at this very moment before the Reforms Commission shall have some sorts of impact?
Of course, as I was talking about the mandate of the interim administration, it has a widespread expectations that the state institutions are to be reformed. And as part of the political party, we also welcome any other political parties proposing reforms. BNP had done it, as you referred to the Jamaat. And I found that the administration is also quite willing to accept and receive any reform propositions whatsoever. But the way for the last 2 months, we see that things are being done, these are not compliant with the reform attitudes. Like on Wednesday, we have seen that 22 judges to the High Court has been appointed, and they have also been administered oath. Now, the way it has been done, the manner and the process is simply unacceptable, because nobody knows how these people have been chosen. I know few of them are quite good, competent, but many of them are not competent. Many of them are has been actively working with the last regime, and many of them we do not know about. So what we have been proposing for many weeks and months, that for removing any judge or any administrative officer or anybody, it needs to go through a process. And at the same time, appointing somebody to a office or appointing a judge should go through the same process. Now, there have been a wide range of discussion that 70 or 80 High Court judges need to be removed because they are either being loyal to the last fascist regime, or they have been very corrupt, or they have been very incompetent. Now, how do you do that? You just go to the court and just force them leave, or you do dismiss them outright without any self-defense or a dignified process. Now, that's why we rejected this process kind of appointment in terms of persons and process. This should not have happened. Yes, the same process happened to the choosing Chief Justice and the Appellate Division, but that was immediately after the administration took over. Now we have 2 months. All the political parties have already proposed the kind of reforms they would like to see. We also propose what needs to be done, and despite repeated requests and propositions, we cannot see any progress in terms of building process, because that has been the sole mandate of reform and reforming the institutions. And these all begin of an institution. How do you appoint and how do you remove? Now, the things are being done for the last 2 months. We seriously ask the administration to look into this. This is not fair. This is not right. And this is not going to get the confidence of the people very soon.
Thank you very much, Barrister Fuad. Dr. Sazzad?
Yeah, in line with the discussion of Fuad Bhai, my first question is whether regulation first or reform first. I think regulation should become first, then reform. But there are some mishappening and mismatch over the system, as we have observed the discussion of Fuad Bhai. Actually, political parties proposing for quick election, it's okay. They know the limitations of interim government in some extent. And another case, they would like to get the quick benefit from election if come faster. But if we're talking about the reform initiative of the government, there's some question from my side. I would like to say that as part of this such kind of reform, we see that there are many committee has formed, but actually the way how the committee is working and how they would like to reform of such traditional system, there is some question arises on the mind of people. As example, we could say that regarding a commission for restructuring the banking system. Meanwhile, we have changed board of directors of many banks and just substitute same patterns people and happening the same thing in banking sector. Some people gone, some people in, and system is still same as we have seen in the last corrupted government. So in this case, the policy should become first. So if it is repeatedly going on, then I think election should become first, and interim government should concentrate on only for election, and should be kicked off all kind of reform initiative, as we have observed. It is not functional at all.
Why do you think so?
I think so. Actually, again, I would like to say there is some limitation of interim government. Political people know how to change the total system of a country. It is not so easy at all. It is not a such kind of playing such kind of game. It can play everybody. Politics is actually it's a different kind of philosophy. It's a different kind of courage. It is different kind of commitment to the people. Interim government never holds such kind of commitment, such kind of involvement, such kind of research quality of people mind. It is actually there's some difference between the political leaders and administrator. So now we are observing the activities like administrator, not like a political viewpoint. So it is very harmful for a nation. So it is better to go for election and let them come political party from different political wings, and I think they could do better compared to interim government.
Mr. Fuad, do you agree?
Well, I think with the New York Times interview, Professor Yunus made it very clear that they have no intention to prolong their stay into power except what is needed. Now, of course, as I told earlier that the mandate is beyond election of this administration. It's not a typical caretaker administration. So their mandate came from the streets. So the revolution gave them mandate to take necessary reforms. So once those necessary reforms are undertaken, the caretaker administration has been very candid to arrange a free, fair, credible election and then leave it to the elected government. So even with the election, just look at the capacity that is required to hold a free, fair and credible election. We have over 120 million people here, voters. Most of the democratic countries do not have that many people. We have 43,000 plus election centers, and every election center has dozens of booths, polling booths. So it requires almost 1.7 million staffs only to be present on the day. And then you add up to the law enforcement agencies, people, intelligence, the huge election campaign, very chaotic campaign. Hundreds of millions of dollars would be spent by the competing parties, muscles and violence and beating off, fighting kind of things. So you can imagine the election mechanism in Bangladesh. It's not easy. Now, there is other issues. How do you deal with the Awami League, Jatiyo Party and the 14-party alliance? What would be their status? Would they be allowed to take part in the election or shall not be allowed? Now, that needs to be resolved on a political consensus basis. And we also propose that the public consultation should be done through an open, transparent process. There are a lot of issues that needs to be resolved and undertaken, reforms. Without them, you cannot have a free, fair, credible election.
Yes,
because the whole regime...
Though election process is a very big thing, as we have said. So, interim government should be concentrated on this. If we take such kind of many numbers of initiatives in different sectors, so the original objectives and the main objectives of the interim government is to conduct a fair, free and fair election. But we take the initiative of reform the education, reform the judicial system, reform everything. So finally, it's make the election process not centric in election process, but we engage our interim government in different sectors. It will take a longer time, because you said that election process is a very big thing. 2 or 3 years need for reconstruction only election process. So why you not concentrate? We could not concentrate on election process. Rather, keep out other initiative as taken by.
I think they are concentrating into it, because one of the 6 commissions is about the reforming election commission, and Badir Alam Mazumdar and the other members have been appointed to look into it. What we propose, perhaps Mr. Mazumdar could have been appointed as the Chief Election Commissioner straight away. That could have been made the things and works easier and take more prompt reforms necessary. But I do not reckon that it would be difficult for a state to take so many actions together. A state has a huge capacity. You look into the economy, you look after the trade, business, you look after the reforms necessary, because that also the part of the mandate. Students did not come out only to say that Hasina, you go, and Professor Yunus come and hold the election. That was not the mandate. The mandate was for post-fascist new settlement for Bangladesh, and that requires more than an election.
Is the all responsibilities goes to the interim government on some left for political parties is also a question?
No, not all. I think what they're saying that how do you enforce those reforms? Once the recommendations come out, of course they're going to sit down with the political parties and take consultation that do you want the interim administration to enforce them, or do you want for the next parliament to undertake them? So these are the issues, but of course the reform discussions need to be there, because we know the limitation of the political governments. They are so bogged down into their own party and the family dynasty politics and the petty ransoming and seeking tenders from different places, make money. It's just replacing the old bunch of money laundering with the new bunch, replacing the old asylum with the new kind of asylums. So that's why there's a lot of expectations of the people that a neutral administration look into the reforms. We have seen the same thing happened during the 111 government in 2007. Dr. Akbar Ali Khan was entrusted with the reform agendas. Lot of propositions were made, but what we have seen after the elected government, not a single reforms had been carried through.
Yes, this is our concern.
So
this is our concern.
That's why the
if
expectation.
government take all initiative, but whether it would be sustainable or not, this is the issue.
And
after coming the political issues, a political party come, and they will say, yes, we not consider such kind of reform initiative taken by the Yunus government. So what will...
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Sazzad, and very much Dr. Asaduzzaman. Both of you so very well. Viewers, we are about to end this talk show, and before ending this talk show, I have to summarize what is the two giant speakers opined, commented, and viewed about the talks issues here. Both of them pointed out very clearly what about the achievements of the interim government led by Nobel laureate Dr. Muhammad Yunus. They categorically said what the merits and demerits, and both of them are of the same spirit and view that Professor Dr. Yunus tries its level best to cope up with the situation. But in few cases, this government is not in a position to fare well, and that is the grievance for the nation, and that is the agony of the country, what they are doing. At the same time, both of them view that within this short span of time, nothing big can be expected of. We have to wait for more. Again, on the issue of Durga Puja, the leading religious festival for the Hindu community in this part of India, they said the measures taken by the government really praiseworthy, and whatever the rumors, gossips, and propaganda being made by some bloggers, social medias, and mainstream papers in West Bengal, especially in West Bengal, and BJP, are not the reflection of reality in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is still ahead of India in terms of communal harmony. What is happening in India from their own standpoint is just a reverse picture. India is not taking care of the people, I mean the minority people, we say the religious people, who are from the point of view of population, they are having negative feedback there. But in Bangladesh, picture is something different. Again, on the point of electoral reforms being initiated by the political parties, especially BNP and Jamaat Islam, both of them propagating the philosophy of their own point of view. But the reforms they are talking about are already in the picture. Barrister Fuad says what happened in the 2007. Dr. Akbar Ali Khan, he was the chief of the Reforms Committee. What the recommendation he made, all the political parties promised, but they did not comply with this. When they went to power, they forget it. Same thing, there is every possibility will take place when any political parties after the election assume the power. And that is the biggest fear and phobia. And that's why this government wants to ensure that the recommendations coming from the different commissions, they will say to the political parties, will talk to them and try to reach at a consensus, so that this consensus may have a light after the election takes place. And in the first parliament, the first session, they may have it, get it passed by the parliament. And that is the desire of all the people in Bangladesh. And we hope something big is going to take place in the political firmament of Bangladesh, and the people of Bangladesh shall have a better future centering all these reforms, having Professor Dr. Yunus at the center of hopes and inspiration. And thank you very much. We'll meet you again in the next talk show.